Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had yourself a great weekend. I spent mine bobbing like a cork out on the Gulf of Mexico. It was a bit rough, but I had a good time away from all the craziness that is in the news this day. And I caught a lot of fish. A guy asked me on the boat, says, "Why do you go fishing every weekend?" And I looked at him like he's crazy. And I just said, "'Cause I can." Is there any other reason to do it? Well, we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Republican Party and whether they're going to break from Donald Trump, I guess I should say. You know, the choice, so to speak, that's being played out in the media between backing Donald Trump and his crazy bid to get his just due, so to speak, and I'm talking about how the media portrays it, versus what the Republicans need to do to make what's good for the country and to make sure that they comply with the will of the voters. So we'll talk about all that. But before we get into it any deeper, let me talk about our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. Yes, otherwise known as BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited. We come to you Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time across Facebook and YouTube, and multiple other platforms are going to be growing as we speak. Check us out. We also are on Dish Network, channel 219 through America's Voice News, as well as the Pluto Network. They're streaming America's Voice News streams to you on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV. You can download a free app on your Android or your iPhone. But Big Daddy Unlimited, our sponsor, is your Second Amendment headquarters. And the way you reach them is look above the show, no matter where you're watching the video or what time. You'll see a show description. I'm a little tongue-tied this morning. You'll see a show description, and then you scroll down and you'll see link to Big Daddy Unlimited, all things Second Amendment, factory direct pricing, guns, ammunition, swag, tactical gear delivered directly to your door. And they literally are becoming the headquarters both for merchandise and politically for your Second Amendment rights. And we'll expand on that as we go on this week because we got some big announcements coming up. All right, let's start with this New York Times story. Duty or party for Republicans, a test of whether to enable Trump. Enable Trump. Isn't he enabling them? I don't know that anybody needs to enable Donald Trump, but let's get into this, man. I just want to show you this meme right off the bat here of President Trump. To me, this kind of says it all right now. Hold the line, baby. I mean, he is facing so much crazy opposition. Now, he's always faced it. No one has had to face more BS, basically, than Donald Trump. There's no question about it. He's had to face the lamestream media, now Fox News. He's had to face the never Trumpers on the right and the basically progressives that have taken over the Democratic Party on the left. World leaders that want the United States of America to become the piggy bank again. He's facing every bit of that, as well as potentially some waffling and spineless Republicans. And that's kind of what this story's about. For the next 3 weeks, the integrity of American democracy is in the hands of people like Norman D. Schinkel, a proud Michigander who has until recently served in relative obscurity on the state board that certifies the vote results. Now, we brought you the story just the other day about the Wayne County canvassing board. This is different. This is the broader one. This is the one that basically certifies all of the counties, the entire state of Michigan. Now, every state does it slightly different, but most of them do it kind of the way Michigan is. They have a local canvassing board, and then by county, province, whatever, and then that is then certified individually by county and then at the state level, and that's what we're talking about here. But now Mr. Schinkel faces a choice born from the national election turmoil created by President Trump, his preferred candidate. So he's a Trump supporter, right? So they're going to bash him in the head, I guess, for whom he sang the national anthem at a campaign rally in Lansing last month. I remember seeing that. He did a good job. But I like how they say election turmoil created by President Trump. What turmoil has been created by President Trump? Now, I know they want to list all kind of things. If they're rioting in the street, it's Trump's fault. If they're not rioting in the street, it's Trump's fault. It's planned chaos, ladies and gentlemen. If there's any turmoil in this election, it was planned by the Democrats months ago, really years in the making, but it really came into fold months ago. And by the way, and I've been catching a lot of grief from this, but I'm going to just tell it like I see it. The Republican Party, and yes, the presidency of Donald Trump and his campaign deserve some blame for what is happening now. Now you say, what, the Democrats are stealing it? Yeah, they are. But President Trump needed to bring more attention to this months ago. Now people will say, well, what could he do? Now there's not that much he could do in a sense that he could affect the actual change, like executive orders, stuff like that. But President Trump should have put pressure on Republicans. Now, he talked about it some, but he should have put a ton of pressure, because as we see it now, and I saw it back then, if you go back and look at our podcast, which, by the way, the best way to do that is check out our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks, spell it all the way out. But watch, we need more viewers on that, by the way. We appreciate it. We're also on Parler now. I'm still learning about Parler. I'm still learning about Me and others, but I'm on there now. So be patient. More is coming. We're actually going to be on a Recoil TV, which is a huge network that we'll talk about more as this week unfolds. But expect to see us on there in the not too distant future. And if there are other social media networks you want me to get on, just give me some suggestions. We're working on it. It's we're trying to do it right. We don't like to half whatever, piecemeal anything. So we're trying to do it right. But we're going to stay on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of that. We have a Twitter. It's at John Martin Talks. My psychic sidekick here, Billy Bob Bass. Yeah, I'm a fish whisperer. Make fishing great again. Some of us are sicker than others. He has a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1. So we're going to stay on all of that, or at least fight to, because I do believe we need to stay in the market square no matter what, and we can't just abandon those. That's my opinion. But Donald Trump, getting back to my point, he needed to make this a bigger deal from the beginning, because as we're seeing it now, and I said it back then, his presidency could literally ride on the cheat by mail voting, and that is what it seems to be. Yes, the machines, all of that, but we need to clean up every bit of that, and we'll talk about that as the story unfolds. But this is planned chaos. I'm not laying it by any means all on the feet of Donald Trump and the Republicans, but we got to, in order to solve a problem, you have to identify all aspects of that problem. And we did not, we collectively, and I'll put me in there too, even though I warned about it, we didn't pay enough attention to what the Democrats were doing. And we should have challenged them. And a lesson to be learned from that, no matter what happens in this presidential election, we need to challenge them and stay in the fight all the time. Because let me tell you, progressives never give up. They never stop. They expand. They double down. The only way you can stop them is not by negotiating them with reason. You must defeat them. I was talking to a friend of mine on my way back from fishing, and I was telling him, even up here where I live, in outside of Gainesville, Florida, a little hometown of Hawthorne, we have a very progressive liberal city commission in Gainesville, Florida, and a county commission in the Alachua County Commission. And they're about as progressive as you could possibly be. But even those guys are hounded by the hardcore left to do even more. I'm telling you, progressives never, ever stop. They never stop. And we as conservatives can never stop if we want to win. That's just the way it is, man. And if you don't believe this was planned chaos, we played this video before, but certainly if I play it, it bears replaying. This is Hillary Clinton about a month before the November 3rd election telling Joe Biden what he needs to do. And keep in mind, this basically means that they thought they were going to lose on Election Day. Check it out.
They have a couple of scenarios that they're looking toward. One is messing up absentee balloting so that they then get maybe a narrow advantage in the Electoral College on Election Day. Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
Listen to that.
So, John,
Listen to that. What Hillary Clinton is saying. This was about a month before the November 3rd election. And then she was assuming that Trump was going to win. Think about that. And she said Biden should not concede under any circumstances. In fact, Donald Trump should concede before the election, if you listen to them. But now Donald Trump is like damaging democracy. They didn't give a hoot about democracy when they thought Joe Biden might actually lose. Now freedom is at stake. Now it's just absolutely crazy. But this is not a surprise to me, and it should not be a surprise to you. I'll say it again. These progressives never, ever sleep, never give up, and you can only defeat them. Our choice is to fight with everything we've got, win or lose this presidential election and beyond. Because if we don't, we're going to lose for sure, because they will never, ever stop. Mr. Schenkel's duty is one of two Republicans, back to the story, two Republicans in the 4-member board is to validate the will of Michigan voters and certify President-elect Joseph R. Biden Jr., and he's not President-elect, by the way, victory ahead of the Electoral College on December 14th. So they're saying it is their duty, basically, to cave, duty to be bipartisan. Bipartisanship, in case you're new to the show, first of all, howdy, how are you? Glad to have you. You're in the right place now, because the truth stops here. And if it starts here, I should say, I guess that was a Biden slip. And if you're looking for political correctness, you are certainly not in the right place, because we don't do that here. But words matter. So now it's all about duty, right? Duty to be bipartisan, which means Republicans cave. That's what bipartisan means. It always means Republicans cave. Because I challenged you on this. I've been doing this for a while. No one has stepped up to the challenge. Name me something that Republicans were for and Democrats were ardently opposed to, that the Democrats eventually caved and said, yeah, you're right, and came over, and bipartisanship. It never happens that way. But words matter, ladies and gentlemen. So I looked up the word duty in context to what they're talking about here. Duty, a moral or legal obligation, a responsibility. Does that describe anyone in leadership of the Democratic Party right now? I want you to think about that. Let me read it one more time. As I'm reading it, think about any Democratic leader, and I'm not talking about rank and file voters and all that. I'm talking about the people that run the Democratic Party. Think about this. Does this apply to any of them? Duty, a moral or legal obligation, a responsibility. I don't think so. And if you think I'm being overly dramatic, I want to play you a hero of mine from the Democratic Party, John F. Kennedy. Not saying he was a perfect man by any stretch, but his words were inspiring. I was just a wee lad, but I've heard these echoing over the years. John F. Kennedy, in his inaugural address, when he talks about the country and your duty and all that, and see if any current Democrat, let alone Joe Biden, God help us if he becomes president, actually lives up to these words.
Fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
That's good enough.
My fellow
That's good enough. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Does that apply in any way to the modern Democratic Party at all? I don't see any at all. It's that what's in it for me. And do you really think that the Democrats right now care about what's good for the country? You really believe that? I don't see how you could. Yet Mr. Schenkel, this guy from Michigan that is one of two Republicans supposed to certify the statewide election in Michigan, he said, yet Mr. Schenkel is weighing whether to block certification at a board meeting scheduled for Monday, later today actually, because of minor glitches that Mr. Trump and his allies have baselessly cast as evidence of widespread election invalidating fraud. No, there's no fraud here. Does anyone actually believe that? Even if you are a Joe Biden supporter, do you really believe that Joe Biden is the greatest candidate in the history of the presidency, that got more votes, like 10 million more than Barack Obama? Do you really believe that? Is there anyone, make the case that Joe Biden, because I'm telling you right now, even to this day, I can't find anybody who is passionate about Joe Biden. I still can't. Now, they hate Donald Trump. I get that. But I don't see anybody, and this has been a referendum on Donald Trump. And to what extent the hatred was and the love for him, we have seen that. But the Democrats, they talk about minor glitches. That's all there was here. So I guess when in Wayne County, which is the most controversial, where Detroit is, that when they were doing this on the night of the counting of the vote, or the next day, when they were doing this, they were just trying to cover up minor glitches. Check it out. Yeah, just some minor glitches, nothing to see here. Oh, by the way, we're going to board up the windows so you can't see these minor glitches. Minor glitches, very interesting. Mr. Schenkel said he had received hundreds of phone calls, emails, and text messages from people for or against certifying. He said, you can't make up your mind before you get all the facts. Imagine that. Sounds fairly sensible to me. But facts, man, let me just tell you, and my heart goes out to people like Mr. Schenkel. He has to have courage to stand up, because we are under attack. Conservative people, especially MAGA people, Trump supporters, are literally under attack. I mean, we've seen over last weekend that people were bashing in the heads of Trump supporters, were attacking women and children in this country, for God's sakes. And no one on the left, I haven't heard Joe Biden speak out against beating up Trump supporters, beating up women and children in our nation's capital. I never thought I would see that happen in this. Even the craziness that happened in the 60s, love it, hate it, whatever, wasn't about beating up children. Even the worst racist stuff, when they were beating up black people, we weren't visibly beating up children. I mean, come on, man. But it takes a lot of courage. I want to play this video for you. This was of Wayne County Canvassing Board when two Republicans were called out by this gentleman from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's a professor at one of the universities up there. And his name is actually, in his middle name is Black Lives Matter. That's what he says anyway. This guy is terrorizing people. This is what we're up against. If you stand up for truth, justice, and the American way, you got to be Superman or Superwoman to do that, because this is what is happening. You're either getting beat down literally or virtually like this. Check it out.
Know when you try to sleep tonight that millions of people around the world now on Twitter know the name Monica Palmer and William Hartman as two people completely racist and without an understanding of what integrity means or a shred of human decency. The law isn't on your side. History won't be on your side. Your conscience, just know when.
Can you imagine that? He's literally threatening these people. And this threat is real. All you got to do is go back and look at the McCloskeys in St. Louis, you know, the couple that stood out there and defended their home with their AR-15 and what turned out to be a dummy 38. I mean, you talk about some courage to face down the mob. They would have burned those people's house down. And it's not limited to just white folks. There was the black couple out there in Los Angeles. I played the video before where the black man literally is defending his house because they're after the Black Lives Matter group, which is a communist organization. It just is. Are after his wife, the local district attorney, because she hasn't ruled in their favor. What'd they say in the Breonna Taylor case in Kentucky, in Louisville? We didn't get it. Burn it down. That is Biden's America, man, and it's only going to get worse. But think about that. We're coming for you. We know where you live. We're coming for you. We're coming for your grandchildren, all of that. They are really laying it on heavy because the thing they fear more than Donald Trump, let me tell you this. There's one person out there that the never Trumpers, the weak, spineless Republicans, let alone the progressive, hardcore Democrats that run the party now, there is one, and the mainstream media, all that, pull them all in a thing like the Christmas thing and shake them up. There is one person they fear more than Donald Trump. You know who that is? It's you. It's you, the American people that voted Trump in, that turned out, and keep this in mind, without any cheating whatsoever. You talk about the thing they don't really talk about. Without any cheating at all, Donald Trump, yes, Donald Trump, who is still your president, by the way, snowflakes out there, got the most votes of any sitting president in the history of the United States of America. And if you're sitting back saying, oh, well, yeah, but they didn't cheat, they just turned out big, let me ask you this, and answer it about as honestly as you possibly can. If I told you on November 2nd, the day before the election, that tomorrow Donald Trump is going to get 10 million more votes than he got in 2016, what would you say? Would you say he was going to win or lose? And you know the truth of that. Just face it, man. I mean, you know, at least have the dignity to it, man. There is really no honest person in this country. Even people who hate Donald Trump, if they have a shred of honesty, know that there is no way in the world that this happened without shenanigans. If you believe that, I guess you believe the malarkey tour, as Biden called it. That Mr. Schinkel is equivocating, back to the article, over a once routine step in the process. Nothing routine about 2020. Despite all 83 state counties submitting certified results, and Mr. Biden, now those other two people, they in Wayne County, they caved to pressure. They voted to certify the results. Then they turned around and said they wanted to, take that vote back. And I don't think that was allowed to happen, which I'm not that surprised. Mr. Biden leading by 154,000 votes. Think about that. With all the tens of millions more votes that Biden got, he's still only leading by 154,000. Now you say only, yeah, that's just enough to make sure that they couldn't do a count that would actually benefit Trump. But 154,000 votes shows the damage inflicted by Mr. Trump on American voting process and the faith that people in both parties have historically shared in the outcome of the election. What damage has Donald Trump done? Has he done any damage? Those of you who hate him, how could he possibly do more damage? You got your wish, right? And if you're part of the 74 million people that voted for the president, do you feel like Donald Trump is damaging you, or do you feel like you've been damaged by this system? And as far as blaming Trump, you can say all kind of things about whether or not his legal team is properly done and all that. There's plenty of fault about some of that. But one thing you can't do is say that what he's doing is some kind of extraordinary thing intended to damage democracy. If you do, you just don't care, don't know, or you're lying. And here's a video proof to show what happened back in 2000 when Al Gore was touted as a hero even to this day for challenging the election, and his minions behind him. Check it out.
Yesterday, the people of our country joined together to make a great national decision to choose the next president of the United States. We still do not know the outcome of yesterday's vote, and I realize that this is an extraordinary moment for our democracy.
Inappropriate at this time. Again, this is all people are trying to gather facts, information, and then make judgment.
What is at issue here is the fundamental fairness of the process as a whole. Because of what is at stake, this matter must be resolved expeditiously, but deliberately and without any rush to judgment. It is also crucial that the American people have full faith in...
I don't have any reason to think we're on the edge of a constitutional crisis, and we don't intend to try to provoke a constitutional crisis. We want to ensure, as I said before, that the election in Florida, as well as the election in the whole country, was accurately and fairly counted, and to do that in a timely manner, taking into account the ultimate importance of the matter.
I believe that when you finish this vote, looking at the vote that was expressed by the people. You all are reporting at different times, different allegations or irregularities that have been reported by different people, and I would assume there will be people in Florida who may determine to do that. Yes, sir.
How serious do those allegations have to be? What's your threshold if this recount continues?
We're in the process of speaking with lawyers. Mr. Secretary Christopher is one of the top lawyers in America. We have lawyers that have gone to Florida, and there are lawyers in Florida who are experts in election laws and so forth that we'll be discussing these matters with, and I thank you very much. Thank you very much.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A crisis. Donald Trump is supposed to just pack it in and mail it in, even because he's lost a few court challenges. They took the Gore case all the way to the Supreme Court. Do you know how long it was before Gore conceded the election? 37 days. And 2 weeks out from the election, Donald Trump's just supposed to mail it in. I'm just going to call it. I am sick and tired of the hypocrisy of the left. There is no double standard, by the way. I keep hearing that, and you're going to hear the truth here. There is no double standard, ladies and gentlemen. There is one standard, and that is for Trump supporters, President Trump, conservative people, anybody who's opposed to the progressive communist. Yeah, I'm saying it. We're jumping from socialism. They're going right for communism. Takeover of America. Anyone who is opposed to that is held to a standard. The left, no standard whatsoever. So yeah, there's a standard, and I'm held to it, and many of you are held to it. Al Gore, Joe Biden, not so much. And keep in mind, that was just about one state, and it took them 37 days to sort it out. And Supreme Court, we hadn't even got to the Supreme Court. So, and the clock is absolutely ticking. So I am very concerned about whether or not President Trump can pull it out. But he absolutely has the obligation, not only to himself, but to the American people, to fight it. Because at the tail end of what Al Gore was saying, it is this, he was challenging this so the American people would appreciate or feel that the election had integrity. Do you right now actually believe that our current system has integrity? Really? I can guarantee you the 74 million that voted for Donald Trump do not feel that way, and they're not giving in. But one thing about Florida, and here's another reason to keep going no matter what, Florida got it right this time. And I'm not talking about re-electing Donald Trump, which is great. I'm proud of the efforts that I played in that, and many of my friends here in the state of Florida. I'm very proud of that. But I'm talking about the way they handled the election, got the results out, everything else. If they'd done it the same way and Joe Biden would have won Florida, I would have been highly disappointed, but I wouldn't have questioned the integrity of the election. Florida got it right. Because we were investigated, because we were in the spotlight, we got it right, and there's a lot to be proud of. And because we have Republicans in charge, I will say that, they got it right. The rest of the country needs to get it right, and the only shot we have is a thorough investigation of this, because it's bigger than Donald Trump's re-election. It's bigger than that, because if we don't get this election stuff straightened out in our nation, and people have faith in it, then we might as well hang it up, pack it in, go fishing, go wherever, because the country, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but it is going down the drain nonetheless. But back to this article, it says, but this is also a moment of truth for the Republican Party. I don't disagree with that, but I would say, if true, what are they going to do? And I am very, very concerned that the Republican Party, because a lot of them have just waiting for Donald Trump to go no matter what. You know the truth of that. Not all of them, to be fair, but a lot of them have. I'm not talking about not rank and file. They're behind Donald Trump. But the establishment up there in the cesspool, the swamp of Washington, they don't care about that, because they know that people like Mitch McConnell, even Lindsey Graham. Do you really think they care who the president is? They just wait for their turn at the trough. They feel like it's cycling back. For God's sakes, they supported somebody like Mitt Romney. And here's the thing about like Mitt, man. You know what really irritates me? That he is going to be now, if God help us, that Joe Biden actually becomes president. People like Mitt Romney are going to be elevated to heights on high because they're going to be the go-to person for all things Republican. I love the people of Utah, but God help us, you put Mitt Romney out there. May he only serve one term no matter what, man. Please, man. But what are the Republicans going to do? Cave without the backbone of Donald Trump, most likely. The country, back to this article, is on a knife's edge with GOP officials from state capitals to Congress choosing between the will of voters and the will of one man. On a knife's edge. I guarantee you if Joe Biden were the roles were reversed and he was doing like Hillary Clinton said, not conceding, where would the knives be? At our throats, man. The whole country would be boarded up and Washington, D.C. would be on fire right now. The Trump supporters aren't doing that, man, because they're actually halfway civilized, right? But that could change. That could change. In pushing his false claims, I want the president to limits, cowing Republicans into acquiescence or silence and driving officials like Mr. Schinkel to nervous indecision. Cowing! I can tell you right now, I'm not cowing. I'm not bowing. I'm not kneeling. I'm not kneeling. I'm not getting back in that pot of boiling water. I'm out the pot. Hallelujah. And no matter what happens with Donald Trump, you're not putting me in. I am going to fight all of this ridiculous nonsense to the bitter end, no matter what, or the God's glory, no matter what. I ain't going back in that pot. I'm not jumping back in there. I'm out, and I'm proud of it. I'm right here. So get used to it. As long as I got the show, you'll hear me all the time. But I'm not stopping no matter what. Mr. Trump, I am telling you right now, I have never been as proud to support the election, the candidacy, the presidency, and the re-election of Donald Trump. I've never been more proud to be a Trump supporter than I have to be a supporter of anyone in my political life, and that's saying a lot. Mr. Trump has revealed the fragility of the electoral system and shaking it. Mr. Trump has absolutely done that, and he needs to shake it. Mr. Trump has done exactly what this picture shows right here across the nation. Check out that. He has exposed the rot in the hollow tree of our system, in our country. Our country, a lot of it, we've been in a long slumber, ladies and gentlemen. Really, ever since World War II, our country has gotten fat and happy, including myself. Yeah, I'm admitting it. We've gotten pretty fat, pretty happy. And we need to come out that slumber. We need to slap ourselves across the chops, man. And Donald Trump has done that. No matter what else he has done or will do, he has absolutely exposed the swamp and the rot within our tree, the tree of liberty. And the real question is, what we going to do about it? What are we going to do? I'm not advocating violence. What I'm advocating is don't get back in the pot. Don't get back in the hammock. Don't go back to sleep. Stay truly woke, ladies and gentlemen, because our country needs us now more than ever. It is bigger than Donald Trump. It always has been. And Donald Trump is huge, man. At this point, the president's impact is not so much about overturning the election, but both parties agree he has no real chance of doing that. I don't, but I'm not surprised that the Republican Party establishment's that way, because they never wanted him in the first place. But infusing the democratic process with so much mistrust and confusion that it ceases to function as it should. Let me tell you right now, I have no confusion whatsoever. Mistrust? Heck yeah. Got plenty of it. Had it before. Do I trust our system right now? No, I don't. And it has nothing to do with Donald Trump getting elected or not. I knew that if that mail-in, cheat-by-mail thing happened, it was going to wreak havoc, and it has. And yes, we have a lot to be thankful for as conservatives that it showed the electoral. Think about it. In spite of all they did, Donald Trump still got the most votes in the history of the presidency. And the blue wave crumbled against a tidal wave of red that took back seats in the House and might hold on to the Senate, depending on what happens in Georgia. Do I have mistrust? Absolutely. Am I confused? Not one dadgum bit. And here's the thing. We're going to have toilet papers coming out of it. I broke this back out about 2 weeks ago because I could see the handwriting on the wall. We're getting ready to have toilet paper shortage, man. But if you think that and that's Biden's America right there. But if you think that's a problem, what about, and I'm going to give you a series of pictures. What about this one? This is the last time Biden was sniffing in the White House right there. Gas prices. Guarantee you, where will they be in 6 months to a year from now if he becomes president? And then the Biden crime family. This goes without saying. Now they got something to sell. China is all on board for a Biden presidency because it is for sale to the highest bidder. And no question about it, Joe Biden, God help us, is going to try to shut us down, put us all in a mask, the mask of Pinocchio, because he's a lying whatever all the time, but he's going to shut us down. Our country is going to be in tatters if we don't fight back, because we got to fight even more if this dude actually wins out. And there is a real chance now that he will. I just got to say it because of all the things that are up against. Am I saying there wasn't fraud? No, I'm saying there was a ton of it, a truck load of it. But cheaters do sometimes win. But the only way to defeat them is to not give in no matter what. They want us to unify behind what? What do you want us to unify? I'm ready to unify behind the U.S. Constitution. That's the unifying document. But the left don't believe in it. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They're trying to come and take your guns. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They're trying to destroy the Second Amendment. That's why you better come home to places like JMT, Big Daddy Unlimited, our sponsor. Check them out in the show link of where, no matter when or where you're watching the video, Big Daddy Unlimited is literally your headquarters for Second Amendment. And as I'm going to reveal to you over the coming days and weeks, they're going to be your chief defender here in this country in the not too distant future about your Second Amendment rights, period. But it's all on the line, ladies and gentlemen. So do I have confusion? No, I'm not confused. Mistrust? Yeah, I'm not confused. I am ready to go, man. And I'm going hard every day. Under an unending barrage of fraud charges, voters might begin to question the legitimacy of elected officials from the rival party as a matter of course. And the GOP, check this out, and the GOP, this is the New York Times, I do believe here, and the GOP risks being seen as standing for disenfranchisement and the undemocratic position that a high level of voting is somehow detrimental. It's not detrimental, but if you're dead, it might be. But you know what's scary? What's scary to me is that the GOP might actually listen to the advice of the New York Times. They might. Because I really believe they're on the edge of capitulation. And I can guarantee you'll see bipartisanship. If you want bipartisanship, which I'm telling you means Republicans cave, you'll see a lot of it in if Joe Biden becomes president, whether the Senate takes it or not. Now, I'm not downplaying what happens in Georgia. We need to focus on that. We need to make sure that we get those, at least one of those Republicans, hopefully both elected to the U.S. Senate, and Perdue's case reelected. I understand how you might feel in Georgia that your vote might not count. So what is the difference? I get it. But we got to keep in the fight, ladies and gentlemen, because if we don't, just might as well pack it up, man. But what's scary is they believe the GOP might cave. Let me just tell you this. I've been seeing this, and I know I was really tuned into it on my way back from St. Pete, Tampa area this past Sunday morning. Trump supporters are as diehard for President Trump right now as they've ever been. There are people putting up flags where there weren't any now. There's Trump signs up where there weren't any before, after the election. And I know, by God, I've kept mine up, and I'm going to keep them up. The government might try to come take them, but I'm going to keep them up at least till President Trump tells me to take them down, basically. But there are more Trump supporters now than ever. My only question is, are we going to hang in there? Because if we do, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because I'm telling you, they fear us more than they fear Donald Trump. Said Trevor Potter. Now, you want to hear what the rats have to say about this? You want to hear what why the rats don't convict the rats, why the Durham report I don't have much faith in any of that stuff because rats don't like to convict rats. And outside of Donald Trump, most of them up there in Washington are rats. Listen, here's a rat speaking right here. Said Trevor Potter, a Republican who served as chairman of the Federal Election Commission in 1990s. Let me adjust this just a hair. He said, what Trump is doing is creating a roadmap to destabilization and chaos in future years. What he's saying explicitly is if a party doesn't like the election results, they have the right to change them by gaming the system. Gaming the system. So he's accusing Trump and Trump supporters of gaming the system. This is a Republican rat, ladies and gentlemen, saying it. I couldn't say it any clearer. You know, King Rat, man, is talking right there. Gaming the system. So Donald Trump trying to get a fair election and get every legitimate vote counted is gaming the system. If you hear that gurgling sound in the background, ladies and gentlemen, that is the swamp trying to fill up already. That's what's happening right now. And these swamp rats, man, we got to fight against them even harder than we do the Democrats. Because keep your enemies close, man, because they will stab you in the back. On Saturday night, Mr. Trump made his most explicit call yet for state legislatures to intervene with the aim of reversing the result. This was a tweet he said that he put out. Hopefully the courts and our legislatures will have the courage to do what has to be done to maintain the integrity of our elections and the United States of America itself. Amen. But here's my concern about that. Donald J. Trump was their courage, is their courage. Without Donald Trump, and they already, you know, like the Brits say, a one-off. They think Donald Trump's a one-off, and they can circle the wagons and get rid of Trump. I'm talking about Republicans now. I don't know that when did they have a backbone before Donald Trump? One of the reasons, this Republicans, you need to listen to this. I'm telling you right now, if you're a Republican leader, you need to listen to what I'm saying. Because tell me where you guys had a backbone before Donald Trump. Who was it? Name him. Who was it? I don't know that any of them did, man. There's been no backbone in the Republican Party since Ronald Reagan. And keep in mind, as much as everybody loves Ronald Reagan, you know who didn't like Ronald Reagan? The Republican establishment tried to defeat him at every turn before he got elected. There's no doubt about that. I'm just going to call it like it is. I don't care what. The Democrats, yeah, it pisses me off, and we got to fight them to the bitter end no matter what. Because progressives, as I tell you, they can't be reasoned with, dealt with, and negotiated with. Only defeated. So, but I'd expect that out of them. The ones that get me are the big Republican rats, and they can feel it coming. They're ready, man. Donald Trump was their courage. Will they have it now? Will they have it now? And I'm talking about the local state legislatures, even in my great state of Florida. Will they have the courage now without the spine of Donald Trump? The only way they will is if we give it to them. And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about by being relentless. In a way, I'm not talking about terrorizing people at their home, but we got to let it be known that we're not going back to the house and just turn on the TV, the boob tube. We're not jumping back in that pot. We're out. We're staying out. We're going to man the political ramparts because our forefathers manned the real ones, and we don't want to have to do that again, but we will if we have to. If they're going to have a spine, it's going to be up to us. Some fellow Republicans started breaking with him, the president, including Mitt Romney. I already told you about, man, that. But listen to this, man. Senator Mitt Romney, a Trump critic, who said the president was seeking to subvert the will of the people, and Senator Marco Rubio, right here in Florida, little Marco, who has acknowledged Mr. Biden is the president-elect. Ladies, I don't know how else to say this. And I know that, so take small children out the room, whatever. Are we going to let these bastards win? I don't know how else to say it, because that's what it's about. It's bigger than Donald Trump. Or what are we going to do, God help us, if we don't win this fight? And Donald Trump, we can do 2024 and all that stuff, and I'm not giving up. Don't misunderstand me. I'm simply saying if we don't take this system and clean that rot out that Donald Trump is so clearly exposed, the swamp, the rot, the rats, the whole bunch, if we don't stay in the fight no matter what and clean house, then it won't matter what Donald Trump does in 2024 because they'll have a bigger machine to. So are we going to let those sons of guns win? Are we? because it really is up to us. They fear us more. I'm telling you, they fear us more than anything else. I'm ready to stay in the fight. Not all of us can be fighters, but everybody can support those of us in the fight. That's why I need your help. Well, we're about out of time. Let me skip forward a little bit. I was going to play this Joe Biden thing, but I'm going to skip pretty close to the end of this thing here. Listen to this part right here. It says, civil rights leaders are especially alarmed at Mr. Trump's efforts, given that most of them have falsely portrayed cities with large black populations like Detroit and Philadelphia as so corrupt that their votes shouldn't count. That's a lie. Donald Trump and none of his supporters have said people's votes shouldn't count based on anything. They're saying fraud shouldn't count. But let me tell you, people of color out there, black and Latinos that in record numbers supported Donald Trump, you're going to come under more fire than even other people. You're going to be attacked because you are a threat, man. We'll close the show pretty much with this. Listen to what Obama said last week about people. In this case, he was talking about black rappers and black men, the ones that Joe Biden said he don't care nothing about, that you're not black enough if you don't vote for him. This is what Obama said about black people. He said, it's interesting people are writing about the fact that Trump increased his support among black men in 2020 presidential election and the occasional rapper who supported Trump. I have to remind myself, now listen to this. This is what he thinks of you young black men if you are into hip hop or support Donald Trump. He says, I have to remind myself that if you listen to rap music, it's all about the bling. You're just idiots, right? The women, the money, that's all that matters. This is Obama, not me, it's Obama. And a lot of rap videos are using the same measure of what it means to be successful as Donald Trump is. That wouldn't be a bad role model. Everything is gold plated. Like you figure it out. This is Obama. He said that insinuates itself and seeps into the culture. Obama is telling you that if you're black and you supported Donald Trump, basically he's saying you're an idiot that only cares about gold. I mean, this is it. It's just, but let me just ask you, what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it, Latino Americans, black Americans, Americans in general, when they come for you, as the Bad Boys song said? Because they coming for you because you supported Donald Trump, and they're going to try to attack anybody that supported Donald Trump. It says here, the president's clout with his party is reinforced by the widespread support he is from millions of Americans. Almost 74 million voted for him this year. I'm going to play a video at the very end right now from Ocasio-Cortez. So I want to let Billy Bob know to set that up, the very last video up there. But 74 million people voted for Donald Trump, and people like Mazie Hirono, say you just need to sit down and shut up. Are you? Are you? So what are we going to do about it, man? Let me tell you, it says right here, this is what Jeff Flake said. And boy, what a great name he has, Flake. He said, if Republicans abandon him, he may just abandon them. Talking about Trump. So if Republicans pull away from Trump, he may just abandon us. That ain't happening. Donald Trump deserves to go home whenever he leaves the White House, now or 4 years from now, and play with his grandchildren golf. He deserves that. He has every right to do it. I don't expect he's going to do it. I want to play this last snippet here. This is from Ocasio-Cortez. We Trump supporters need to listen, believe it or not, yeah, I'm saying it, to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's telling us what we need to do. Check it out.
This moment radicalize you. Let this moment really put everything into stark focus.
Amen.
Because this
That's
election
That's good enough right there. Let this moment radicalize you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about being violent. I'm talking about don't give up. Don't give in. Fight, 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 man. Because we have a choice. We can either stay home or we can let this moment radicalize us. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page. Like it, share it with others. YouTube, John Martin Talks. Check it out. But above all else, like I say all the time, I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. We all need to pray for this nation and our president. They both have earned that right. But as I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, Have a blessed day.